Hi, welcome to the first episode of this self management training series, which I am launching through my small business called Evo Skills. Today, I'll go over the what is self management and cover the topics of why I'm starting this training series for free. So, these are the episodes that I plan to have in the near future. My goal is to be releasing these live every week on Thursday, so which will help you progress through this meta skill of self-management, which I will explain what that is. Um, the first episode, which is this one, is the introduction of this concept. The second episode, which I hope to drop next week, will be introduction to self-awareness, followed by our evolutionary brain. And there's more to come on that. So the topics I'll be covering today are three things. First, what is self management? Second, and third will be two tools that I'll be sharing today on meditation chain analysis. So, those are the three topics that will be covered. But before I get started, just to add some disclaimer, this information provided here is for general informational purposes only and is not intended to substitute for any professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. So I have to say all this the boring stuff to make sure that we are clear. By watching or listening to this episode, you acknowledge that the creator is not liable for any actions based on the information provided. So I have a slide on this. If you subscribe to our newsletter, we will share all these notes and also diagrams that we do have. So now that that's out of the way, let's get started. So first topic, what is self-management? So last year when I started trying to start my own company is that I developed what is called a meta skills framework. Now I know just based on feedback, the term meta skills is not very popular, but essentially it means the skills that will help us learn other skills. So you've ever had the word meta in such as metadata, if you're in the data field, it's data about data, is similar concept. Now, I know it gets confused with Meta as in Facebook, but Meta Skills is an actual skill and there are actual frameworks out there. And I really believe that this is the next evolution of skills that we must learn given the rapid pace of technology. So, in our own Meta Skills framework, we focus on four core skills. The first one, which we'll go over in the series, is called self management, which we define as the ability to manage thoughts and behaviors to promote self acceptance. Now, if you've seen other materials that I have out there, it will have a slightly different take or angle on it, but essentially, now I'm landing with the positive side to promote self acceptance. The second skill is pattern recognition, which is our ability to utilize patterns to learn faster. So you'll see kind of the theme here that it's all about this skill of enabling you to learn other skills or develop other skills. So pattern recognition is going to enable us to learn faster. The third one is organization, which is our ability to create processes and systems to improve efficiency. Now, who doesn't want to improve efficiency? All of us are always trying to do more with less time. So, organization is all about that. And the last one we have here is called storytelling, which is our ability to effectively connect and knowledge share with others. So, not that these skills are you've probably heard versions of these skills in different areas. Some people will call it soft skills, some historically call it um, other types of, or leadership skills. But what we're forming here, what we're focused on, are how these skills help you develop other and new skills. But in this training series, right now, we are going to focus mainly on self management. So, if we move on to the next slide. So, why is self management so important? Why am I starting here? So, our ability to self manage has a direct impact on us developing utilizing other core meta skills. If you haven't noticed yet, depending where you are and how self aware you are, you probably, most of us will be impacted by our own thoughts and our own fears and our own emotional state when we go and do anything. I'll give an example, especially from my past. So, growing up, have been painfully shy. So those of who has worked with me and kind of in my corporate career probably can't see it just because I do a lot of presentations in that setting. But if you do not believe it, but as a child, I was painfully shy, meaning that walking into a store and having someone speak to me was very frightening, very scary for me. Picking up the phone was hard for me, even just because I'm not knowing the person on the other line was scary, and I really didn't want to interact with anyone. So to combat that, in middle school, I decided to take um, theater arts as an elective, thinking that, okay, maybe I just need to practice the skill of speaking in front of an audience so that I can desensitize myself. So I took it for 3 years. Um, Granted, I was really probably not that good, and it did give me some good tips, as in like stage left, stage right, and all these theater concepts. But I don't think it helped me tackle my skill or conquer that skill of presenting in front of an audience. So then what I really realized when I finally did conquer, probably in college and also when I started working a corporate career, it was that it was all internal. It was just that I was scared, first of all, which is very normal. A lot of speakers and a lot of guidance have spoken about how speaking from audience really, really is triggering for most people just because it's almost like seeing a snake or even heights. But for me, I think I had to discover that I have something called I'm highly sensitive. So my central nervous system is just more sensitive than other people. And on top of that, internally, there was just a fear of doing that. So once I was able to calm myself or really kind of be more self-aware of that fear inside, then speaking became natural and became a lot easier. Um, Including, standing up on stage. Now, not that I don't get nervous at all. I still do. My cheeks will shake, but I've done presentations where it's 200 to 300 people in a virtual setting, creating, and you would never guess how far I've come. But it's not because of the skill of speaking in front of people, which is what I think most communication and classes focus on. It was that I had to manage myself internally. So, anyways, that's just one example of how important I think self-management is, because it inhibited me from learning how to speak, how to improve myself, and how to be confident. And that was all internal. So, alongside with the meta skills framework, we've also developed levels of mastery. So just like any skill set or skills framework that you've experienced either through work or through school, there's usually these core disciplines matched by levels of mastery. So there's 4 here. It's feel, see, do, and create. Pretty simple. Feel, the first one is everybody starts here. We're just reacting based on intuition. C is our ability to observe, identify, and evaluate. So each of these core meta skills will go through these levels of mastery. And third is how to independently perform that skill. And then fourth is how to design and implement a new idea or a new solution. So also want to put a caveat out here that these levels are designed to provide a framework for progression in a given scenario. So it's possible that you'll be at varying levels at the same meta skill based on the scenario or the set of circumstances. So it's not that, hey, I'm in, and I think that's the confusing part usually with skill set frameworks is that, we think, oh, we're at level 3. That means across the board, I can apply this skill. I'm at level 3 across the board. It doesn't really work like that. I think with other skill set framework, it doesn't work like that here as well. It's possible that in this scenario, I'm going to perform at a level 3, but it's also in a different scenario, I can be performing at level 2, right? So just to kind of level set. So, what does this levels of mastery mapped onto self management progression look like? So, specifically for self management, feel is our gut reaction to an emotion. So we might feel sad, we might feel angry, we might feel anxiety, and it's our reaction to that without much thinking. It's almost like a reflex that we do. Now everybody starts here. Usually this is level 1. This is level 1, and this is how usually when we're evaluating ourselves where all of us start. Now, two is C, which in self management, it's about self awareness. So, how do we objectively observe our internal self, our body, thoughts, emotions, and behaviors? Third is do. So, if we have the ability to replace, say, negative reactions or behaviors we don't want with more productive behaviors towards ourselves and others. And lastly, create. In this context, it's about creating a psychologically safe and thriving environment for ourselves and others. So, and that's a very important skill. We get to there. Now, it's not that, again, it's kind of scenario based sometimes in certain circumstances. Even for myself, I think that I can create a psychologically safe and thriving environment for myself and for others. But then other scenarios where I can't even see what's going on in my mind and I'm just reacting based on others' input or the situation and circumstance. So this training series, I always use this analogy, even when I was working in with my team and everything. It's all about tools, right? I think about all different either technology, different concepts, frameworks. They're just tools in our toolbox or tool belt. So this series is designed to equip you with the tools so that you can successfully practice each level. So I have an image here. It's a toolbox, and I'll go through kind of these various tools that I've picked up along the way either through personal experience or through my research, even through therapy and coaching. And I'm going to map them to the levels of progression so you can easily kind of see, hey, which tool do I need? Maybe at some point, we're self aware, but I can't see what's going on inside. I can use this tool to help me see that, just as an example. So that's what this training series is about. All right. So that was topic one. Now I'm going to move on to our second topic today. I'm gonna give a tool just to start off, just because this one is relatively pretty easy for anyone to do. It is meditation, and it's been practiced for thousands of years, and studies have proven it to help with overall stress reduction and anxiety. So even when I was working for corporate and big companies, they usually have free meditation tools out there, and I really encourage you to try it. So I've gotten a better appreciation, a deeper appreciation after getting certified as a yoga instructor. And I'm going to actually lead you through a short meditation just for you to see and feel what it's like. And then I'll explain afterwards what's the purpose of it and how does it tie back to self-management and what it allows us to do, or kind of this skill allows us to do. So I'm going to ask you to follow along if you feel comfortable. If not, just listen to the script. And then if you don't feel yet you're ready to try, come back later and just give it a go. It's not going to take very long, but it's just to help you understand kind of the flow and what your mind is doing. So take a deep breath and let's begin finding a comfortable position, but one in which you will not fall asleep. Sitting on the floor with your legs crossed is a good option, or even in a chair. Close your eyes or focus on one spot in the room. Roll your shoulders slowly back and then slowly forward. Lean your head from side to side, lowering your left ear toward your left shoulder and then your right ear toward your right shoulder. Relax your muscles. Your body will continue to relax in this practice. Now let's begin observing your breathing. Notice how your breath flows in and out. Make no effort to change your breathing in any way. Simply notice how your body breathes. Your body knows how much air it needs. Sit quietly, seeing in your mind's eye your breath flowing gently in and out of your body. When your attention wanders, as it will, just focus back again on your breathing. Notice any stray thoughts, but don't dwell on them. Simply let the thoughts pass. See how your breath continues to flow deeply, calmly. Notice the stages of a complete breath, from the in breath to the pause that follows, the exhale, and the pause before taking another breath. See the slight breaks between each breath. Feel the air entering through your nose. Picture the breath flowing through the cavities in your sinuses and down to your lungs. As thoughts intrude, allow them to pass and return your attention to your breathing. See the air inside your body after you inhale, filling your body gently. Notice how the space inside your lungs becomes smaller after you exhale and the air leaves your body. Feel your chest and stomach gently rise and fall with each breath. Simply notice how your body feels. See how calm and gentle your breathing is and how relaxed your body feels. Now it's time to gently awaken your mind and body. Keeping your eyes closed or lowered, notice the sounds around you. Feel the floor beneath you. Feel your clothes against your body and wiggle your fingers and toes. Shrug your shoulders. Gently open your eyes and remain sitting for a few moments longer. Straighten out your legs and stretch your arms and legs gently. Sit a few more moments, enjoying how relaxed you feel and experiencing your body awaken and your mind returning to its usual level of alertness. Take a deep inhale and exhale it out. So I hope you guys followed along in that simple meditation. As you can see, most meditation or one form of meditation will be to focus on our breathing. And it's really to practice focusing and watching ourselves, using our breath as an anchor. So I would say even for practicing yoga for many, many years, probably since probably 2 decades before I did official kind of yoga instructor training, I don't think I appreciate or understood what it was really practicing. But this skill, this meditation, this practice is to help our minds practice seeing or observing. No, you'll hear, and you've probably heard in the script to say, when thoughts come your way, just let it pass, right? Most of the time, especially for me, when thoughts come in, I usually dwell on them or I usually attach to them. But if you can practice just letting it come in and out, just like your breath, you'll see how much calmer it is that you'll become. So I give you that tool. There are tons of free meditation apps out there. If not, I think on YouTube, that guided meditation is a great way to start. When we did yoga training, though, we did do silent, non-guided meditation daily for 20 minutes, and I think the longest one they had us do was about 3 hours sitting there. So with no talking, kind of eyes lowering, and really just practice observing. Not asking you to do that, but definitely try it out if you haven't. And if you are, continue practicing it because you'll see it should help you develop that skill of observing. All right. So moving on. So Just as I said, meditation isn't necessary. I think it's a good practice to have, but I would say, it didn't allow. It was so free form. You notice, kind of just observing and doing things like that. That I needed a little bit more of a framework. So this is called, and this is our third topic. This tool is called a chain out analysis. It's part of cognitive behavioral therapy. And basically, it's a framework that guides us to an understanding of our behavioral patterns. So I've adapted a version of this into kind of our own format. So it's quite simply, if you're not able to see this and you're just listening, to me, there's three things, right? There's three kind of parts to this process of any of our behaviors. There's an input, we process the input, and then there's an output, just like systems. You'll probably see me do a lot of analogies with systems just because of my data analytics background and my systems background. So, quite simply, we get input, we process it, and then there's an output. So, what does that mean in kind of behaviors, self management, and all that? So, if we look at the input column, it's in any event or situation that occurs around us. Somebody says something, something happens, an event that occurs, usually not by our control, right? It's an input, it's something that is introduced to us. That input gets processed internally within us, will first form a thought. That thought will create a feeling, an emotion, and that feeling will trigger a behavior, which moves into the output, right? Either sometimes if we feel angry, we might start yelling, right? For example, if my son comes home sometimes with a lower grade than expected, I will feel disappointed, and then in turn, I might get angry and then in turn yell at him or kind of discipline him, right? If it's not what I expected. Now, then, of course, at the output side, this yields an outcome. So, in the scenario I just described, it might be that he's already very disappointed in himself, and me adding on to that disappointment really makes him feel a certain way, right? Or thinking that mom's not supportive. Anyways, I'm just giving an example. But essentially, this chain analysis is help us break down a scenario it, by saying, hey, this is the event that occurred. This generate this type of thought, and this thought created this type of feeling, which in turn created this behavior, and then a certain outcome came out of it. So let's walk through a different example into perhaps in a work setting. So the input, the situation is whether to decide to share my ideas in a brainstorming meeting or not. I don't know how, even though I say I can do presentations, to be honest, a lot of times in very large meetings, I sometimes will kind of keep to myself and keep quiet. Sure, some of you may be able to relate to this. And the thought that comes to mind, maybe it's the same thought that comes to your mind, is my idea might be incorrect or wrong. So I'm thinking like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say anything because then it's not right. I don't have all the facts. I don't know everything. So if I say it, then if it's wrong, then my team member might think I'm stupid or my idea is stupid. And that in turn makes me feel scared, right? Fear, maybe a little bit of rejection because I'm painting in my head, I'm already thinking my team member will think it's stupid. So I feel rejected, and maybe even a bit of shame for even trying to say something during such a important meeting or such a big meeting. So what happens because of those feelings is that my behavior becomes no input is provided in the meeting and I just sit there, right? Or maybe you just sit there. And then what is the outcome of that, right? Well, it could be a missed opportunity to help the team. Maybe from my idea, other team members can piggyback off of it, right? Maybe my idea could be not all the way right because I don't have all the assumptions or all the information, but it's enough to at least create more ideas to come, right? Or I could be perceived as disinterested, right? How many times, especially, and this happens probably like kids in school. My boys are also painfully shy. They don't speak up much, so then the teacher might think that they are not listening or don't understand the concept because they're not giving any feedback. Same here in a work setting, right? If I am in a meeting and I'm not giving it any feedback, other teamers might think I'm just not interested in this. I'm not helping out. I'm not a team player. And then in turn, you're going to miss opportunities in your career, right? Oh, Angela's not really she's a lone wolf. There's no point. Maybe she's not interested in these other upcoming opportunities, right? So huge impact on or potentially repeated behaviors. So we have here is actually a free downloadable spreadsheet we design with what I just described, how to break down your thoughts and emotions and feelings. So this can be found, and we'll share this. We'll share this in the YouTube and the link below. But we'll also, if you subscribe, you also get all the diagrams that I have and anything that I spoke to. If you're a visual person like myself, I always like the diagrams because it helps remind me what I learned. So I'm actually going to demo this spreadsheet for you and see how it works. And I encourage you, there's a free version out there. There's also a paid version. But the free version, if you print it out, you can also practice this skill. So I'm going to share my screen. So let's describe an event. Say this is what happened, right? I'll give a real example, and it's actually preparing for today or preparing, actually doing this and doing business and going live and, and prepping for this. And I'll share with you what my thoughts were and what did I feel and how I almost psyched myself out from doing all this, right? Really trying to run. I think I was trying to run away. So I'll describe the event situation. So sharing my business progress, right? And sharing this training live, right? So that's the situation. So what thoughts came up? I think, I was thinking, well, what if what if no one watches it? No one watches it. That's one thought, right? And then how I felt is pretty discouraged, right? I'm discouraged before I even, go go present the training, even though I spent hours already creating the deck, creating the content, and organizing and learning, right? Discouraged. I also thought there's a thought, I think I'm going to fail. I don't know at what, but I'm going to fail. This is not going to be successful. This business will not be successful. Again, anytime there's failure, typically there's kind of this fear, right? On top of discouragement, right? So if I continue this thought pattern, right? How did you respond or what actions did you take? I could have. Now I'm playing it out. Obviously, I'm doing this live already and this did not happen, but there's a part of me that wanted to let's just cancel. Let's not do this. Let's not put it out in the world. Let's not record myself. Let's not do it live. So the outcome to that might be, again, it's kind of this missed opportunity, right? It's like giving up before I even try. So if I give up if anyone gives up before you try, then there's no positive outcome that can happen from it, right? Besides my own mental well-being, of course, or I'm avoiding. So this is how you kind of analyze the spreadsheet. Use it to kind of break down your thoughts and see what's happening. Now I have it on a page. Now, obviously, this is not what happened, but it definitely crossed my mind. So what did happen in real life? I actually replaced this thought with a different thought. And this is the premise of usually cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, right? You're really reframing your thoughts. So what really happened is then when I was doing my walk this morning, I focused on, you know what? I really enjoy knowledge sharing. I'm going to type this in here, knowledge sharing. And I've learned a lot in this past break that I took from corporate. And I really want to share this because I think other people will benefit from it. And I want to share it with others so they can benefit as well. Now, with this thought being replaced, I don't feel discouraged. I feel like, whoa, I can do this. I'm going to help others. I feel motivated because I want to help others. And I like sharing knowledge. I feel motivated to kind of go do this. I feel a lot positive, right? And then maybe think about what if no one watches it, right? Well, then that to me, the thought is, well, that's great feedback. Maybe I'm not getting it out there. I don't know how to share this. All this is pretty new to me. I don't know how to advertise. So instead, again, this changes it from fear to, I'm trying to think of my emotion, also a bit motivated, but in a problem solving mode, right? Then I'm like, okay, that's great feedback. That didn't work. That's okay. We're going to try again. So it's not about giving up, but rather it's it will yield a different emotion of, for lack of just creativity for now. Let's put more motivation, right? Not to give up. Again, more motivation. So here, what do I do instead if I had these thoughts? Well, I am going live and sharing this training. And though I don't know the outcome yet, I'll have to fill this out later. I would hope at least I can tell you now that I feel kind of proud of myself to do this, regardless if anybody's logged online or watching this live. I think that it's something that I wanted to share and something that I think will be beneficial, and even putting this worksheet out there for anyone to use. So that's an example of how this worksheet works and how we apply the skill and practice seeing and observing our thoughts, behaviors, emotion, and which is a critical step in self-management. So I'm going to summarize what we went over today. You learned 2 tools today. So put it in your toolbox in the C bucket, in the C skill: meditation and chain analysis. And I encourage you to practice, 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 like any skill, like any sport or any skill that you have. The more practice, the better you'll get. I will say this, being probably 4 or 5 different therapists and coaching, I do think that we skip over the step of seeing. It's a really critical skill that a lot of times we're moving forward. We're trying to take action. Let's just go and fix it instead of just practice observing. So, in fact, what I just went over in my example, replacing my negative thought with a different thought, reframing that, it's already taking action. But I wanted to give you an example of what happened in real life in a real setting. So I just encourage you, you don't have to replace the alternate thought if you're not ready for that yet. Just practice. Say you had a negative outcome from a recent experience, could be with your significant other, could be with your kids, could be at work. Write it out, break it down, see what happened. Writing it down is super powerful. And this framework lets you easily do that. So you understand what's happening to yourself and in your mind. And in turn, you're practicing that skill so that when we go and try to do the next level, you have a better understanding of where to tackle that problem, right? Or where to tackle what's happening in your own mind. So that concludes this first episode. The next one will be next Thursday. It is called Introduction to Self Awareness. We're going to dive deeper into levels of self awareness and again, introduce you to additional tools and free downloadable worksheets as well. So I hope you'll join me next week. And if you like this episode, please subscribe to our email newsletter. We will try to send out the show notes on Monday following that episode. So if you like to see the diagrams that we have, or the ones that showed, we will attach those into the newsletter and also summarize this episode in a written format. So I encourage you to respond along with any links to the downloadable worksheets that you can get as well. So subscribe. And if you've made it this far, I just wanted to do a quick intro about myself. My name is Angela Tran. I previously, I was in corporate for 18 years. I started off as an auditor, then I transitioned to being a data warehouse business intelligence consulting clients on how to process and improve, especially around data. I do have a master's in analytics, so my background is highly analytical. And then because of my passion for teaching and developing people, as I was doing these roles, I naturally kind of fell into these training roles just because naturally I volunteered and gravitated towards it. So in my most recent role, I was a director of strategy and talent development, which I really enjoyed. Total career pivot, but it was rewarding to see how people develop, to go into my passion and really develop people and develop training. And hence that's why I'm here. And I want to share this with you, with all of you as well. So personally, I am a child of Vietnamese refugees. In fact, this is a picture. We just visited Vietnam last November with my kids. So just to introduce them to our family heritage, I'm married with 2 children, and we love to travel. So this is a family picture. And now, just as I said, I'm on a bit of a corporate break and trying to explore on my own by sharing these kind of training. And I hope to develop, the goal is to develop online courses eventually for the other meta skills, but right now I'm focused on the self-management, free training for all of you. So hopefully you enjoy, and feel free to share it with anyone you might know that will benefit. So very smart. Thank you so much. I do have a Lunar New Year picture here. I wish everyone a happy Lunar New Year for those who celebrate. As you can see, I'm testing it out, and you can see there's a glare. The sun is in my eyes. This is my first time doing this. So thank you. Send any greetings, comments, questions in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks. Bye.